Hello, we are on chapter 5 and we are talking about prescriptions. And here we have a picture of a prescription that has been given, and the pharmacy technician is turning over the therapies to the patient. So, what is the chapter outline? We're going to look at prescriptions, pharmacy abbreviations, prescription information, the fill process, labels, and of course, we keep on talking about this HIPAA. Please do remember that because that deals with the confidentiality that's associated with patient health information, which is PHI. And then we will have a small review at the end. So what are your learning objectives? So at the end of the chapter, I would like for you to understand the following: the prescription process, and this includes each of the steps from the creation of the prescription to the patient pick it up and possible counseling. Try to understand the importance of preventing and identifying medication errors. This is very, very important. And this particular type of prevention occurs through every step of the filling process associated with prescriptions. We should also be able to understand the differences in the responsibilities between pharmacy technician and the pharmacist. Remember, we talked a little bit earlier about the scope of practice, as well as legal and safety reasons for never assuming pharmacist only responsibilities. For example, the counseling of the patient should never occur by the pharmacy technician. This is something that is designated for the pharmacist. And also, you should be able to understand the importance of protecting patient privacy and treating all patients with respect. Again, it's come under the guidelines associated with All right, so thinking it through, let's go ahead and read this and try to get an understanding of what it's talking about. And at the end, we'll come back to answer this particular question. Jenny is a pharmacist technician with 8 years experience at a busy pharmacy. On a particular busy day, Mrs. Harris, who is in a hurry, stopped by to pick up 2 prescriptions. She also needs an over-the-counter cold medication for her husband and asks Jenny for a recommendation. Jenny has often rung up sales for over-the-counter cough and cold medication that have been recommended to customers by the pharmacist. As you read this chapter, consider where it is okay for Jenny to show Mrs. Harris some products she knows the pharmacist has recommended to other customers. If it is not okay, how would Jenny explain this to Mrs. Harris? Okay, so this is what we'll be talking about throughout this particular chapter, and we'll come back to answer this question at the end. So first of all, let's look at prescriptions. So again, prescription is defined as a particular instruction or an authorization from a medical practitioner to issue a drug or device to a patient. Okay, so they are individuals such as medical doctors, MD. We also have a different type of physician called doctors of osteopathy, which are DOs. And they both have unrestricted possibilities and capabilities of being able to restrict and be able to prescribe. Other doctors can prescribe medicine only within their field, such as dentists, which work with teeth, veterinarians, which work with animals, podiatrists, which work with foot issues, and opticians, which of course work with the eye. In some states, depending on the regulation and depending on the protocol, you have nurses, practitioners, physician assistants, and pharmacists that can be authorized to write prescriptions. Okay, a prescription is an instruction from a medical practitioner that authorizes a patient to be issued a drug or device. What we have been doing a lot of the labs, and these particular labs that we have been doing is associated with writing a prescription. Okay, so that is something that's very, very important. Prescriptions are subject to many different type of rules and regulation, both at the state level and also at the federal level. Another thing that's also very important is that in a community setting, and we were talking about community pharmacists, these are pharmacists that usually work with such companies such as CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, Walmart, at a Walmart pharmacy, a Stop and Shop pharmacy, a Target pharmacy, etc., etc. And these pharmacists have the capability of dispensing directly to the patients, who is then expected to administer the medication according to the pharmacist's directions. Okay, and we see that all the time when we go into a pharmacy. In an institutional setting, and here we're talking about most likely a hospital, maybe a nursing home, a long-term care home, a hospice, etc. It is the nursing staff that is involved in administration of the medication to the patients. So again, community pharmacists dispense directly to the patients. The patient is expected to administer the medication according to the directions that's found on the prescription, the pharmacist's prescription. And then institutional pharmacies. This is done by the nursing staff that administer the medication to the patient. And many times you have a patient chart. I referred to prior to the administration of that particular drug, and the patient chart has the most up-to-date physician's instructions. This is a great video on prescription as related to the pharmacy technician scope of practice. And so I want you to go ahead and watch this particular video, and this just give you a greater perspective. And it's approximately 20 minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and take a very close look to the prescription process. And we're going to take some time going through this here. And there's 10 basic steps that you should be familiar with. Each of the steps can be prone to error. That means that looking at these particular steps very, very carefully can reduce the amount of medical error that can occur. So number one, a prescription is ordered by a prescriber. What does this mean? A prescriber, and we talked about the different types of prescribers, the unrestricted prescribers such as the DO, doctor of osteopathy, or the medical doctor, prescribers that have some restrictions such as the dentist, the veterinarian, the podiatrist, the optician, and then even more restrictions upon the nursing practitioner, the physician assistant. And so these can be the prescribers. And here we're looking at a prescription here. So the prescriber may give the prescription to the patient or may communicate it to the pharmacy via fax, electronic transmission, or the telephone. Number two, the prescription arrives at the pharmacy. So the patient can turn in the prescription, or a representative can turn in the prescription. And this present a written prescription at the pharmacy counter. Alternatively, you can get the prescription via the computer, via fax. Also, those are acceptable ways of receiving a prescription by the pharmacy. Patient and prescriber information is gathered, and this is done usually by the pharmacy technician that collects and confirms the patient information. And some of the patient information that should be noted is the name of the patient, the address, telephone number of the patient. Does the patient have any allergies to this particular medication, or in general, the insurance of the patients, the prescriber's name, and then any special instructions, which is the pickup time and the day of supplies. So then again, the pharmacy technician will enter this particular data into the computer system. So the prescription data is then recorded in such a manner, and this can be scanned in, typed in, or since it may be already on the computer, placed within the appropriate folder for such information. Okay, so number 3, the pharmacy technician checks the prescription to make certain it is complete and aesthetic. Verify the patient information is in the pharmacy's database. Obtains and/or verifies the patient's demographics, insurance, and allergy information. Verifies any special instruction, such as pickup time and daily supply. Number 4, that particular information is entered into the computer system. So this is done by the technician, which will place the prescription into the computer system. And then during this time, you have safety and accuracy checks that are completed, such as the pharmacy protocol. Something that's also very important, especially here in the United States, the insurance and billing information. So the computer system evaluates the data against stored information and processes any third-party billing. When we talk about third-party billing, you are talking about the insurance company. Messaging may be returned regarding drug utilization review, DUR, and this may be an editing or the insurer's claim. So it is the pharmacist, not the pharmacy technician, that must check out all DUR or drug utilization review messages. Okay. Here again, a label is generated. So once you get a prescription, it is now turned to a label, and the label goes on to the medication container. And this is the information that is needed by the patient, and also required by federal and state legislation. Right? And some of the things that you see, we have talked about before on the label, such as the telephone number of the pharmacy itself. You have the DEA number, the date that it was filled, the name of the person, the instruction of the drug, what type of drug, the strength of the drug, the company that manufactures the drug. Here you have the doctor who has given the drug, refills, and the last date of use. Okay, all very, very important. So once the payment is approved by the third party, the computer generates a label, patient handout, and patient code payment amount. Okay, so that is number 6, and we will continue with 7, 8, 9, and 10 in a few moments.